Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And on this podcast, we're looking forward to gaming Game Week 6, where one team who was heavily fancied has still not won. Firstly, let me introduce you to the man who supports that team. It's our Aston Villa correspondent. It's Lee Jackson. How you, Lee?
Yeah, all right.
Oh,
Okay, hanging
oh,
in
where's the bleach?
there.
Good lad. And our Fulham correspondent is hoping he's the next to give Villa some punishment. It's Lewis James. How you, mate?
I'm good. Better than Lee. So
Good man. Interesting. Before we start, Lewis, you've done Lee a few turns in the past by beating Villa, I believe.
yeah, playoff final. We beat them. They stayed down. They got new ownership off the back of it, which is obviously better ownership. And then we beat them 3-0 at the cottage, and Gerrard got sacked on the way home. And I believe they got Emery in off the back of that.
Mm.
So yeah, hopefully we win again and Emery then departs. You can get Nuno.
We
You're all right.
Lee, we're not there, are we?
No, no. I think when it got announced earlier in the week that Monchi, sporting director, was leaving, there was a few raised eyebrows of, oh, is something going on behind the scenes here? Is there going to be a big change? Because we know that Monchi was very much Emery's man, worked with him previously. So that was a bit concerning. But in the last 24 hours, we've heard that actually another Emery man is coming in Roberto Alabe, who's currently or was recently at Real Sociedad, working on a small budget. So it seems like that is very much a backing of Emery to say you're still in charge. And the rumblings that we're hearing from within the club is that it was an Emery decision that actually Monchi wasn't doing enough and should be moved on. He'd rather get this guy in. It's worth saying as well, Roberto Alabe, the new sporting director coming in, was rumoured to be coming to Villa a couple of years ago. Apparently Emery wanted him and couldn't get him for whatever reason.
So why's this gone wrong with Monchi's? It's a clash over transfers, essentially.
I think so. And I think there's always a bit of a balancing act, isn't there, between wanting success right now and wanting to buy players who are going to be profitable or going to be gems in 5 years' time, or even less in the case of Rodgers. And obviously, Emery's going to be sat there thinking, I need players now. We had Rashford and Asensio last season. We need more quality. We need more attacking options, which I think it probably explains why we had that sort of panicked last minute bid for Lucas Paqueta right at the end of the transfer window that kind of came out of the blue, and we were like, well, where did that come from? That feels a bit odd. Um, but yeah, I think all Villa fans, or certainly the majority, are still very much backing Emery. We don't want another sliding doors moment if Fulham beat us at the weekend. We don't feel like we need that favour, even though it's been pretty woeful so far.
So why? Because I don't think any of us on the outside can really, we can look at it and say, yeah, squad is a little bit thinner than last year. I certainly accept what you're saying about a few players kind of not stayed with the club and stuff. But irrespective, like you shouldn't have had the results that you've had and only scored one goal in those 5 games, mate.
No, it's shocking. And I'll always sort of look at the underlying data and look at the XG, but you pull up an XG table and we're 19th in the league. So it's not that we've been creating loads of chances and we've just been a bit unlucky, or Ollie hasn't quite been finishing as he should. Ollie's had very little service. He wouldn't be really where I'd be pointing the fingers massively. He should have done better with a few probably, but there's lots of other factors in there as well. Not having Tielemans for a game and a half is big. Rodgers has been way off it though. He just doesn't look the same player as he was last season. And then, like we say, we have lost some important members of the team as well, with no Rashford, no Asensio, who were good last season. Even Bailey in glimpses last season brought something different. So we've
So
got new players coming in. Elliot has only been in the last game and a half, cup game and half of the Premier League game. Sancho, again, who's only had a few minutes at the weekend. So hopefully once they sort of settle in a bit more, then it'll be a bit more positive. But it is concerning.
is there any concern of a split between the manager and the players?
I don't think so. The only rumblings of negativity was maybe more directed towards the recruitment through the summer. There was a couple of comments that senior members of the playing team so namely Mings and McGinn, both put statements out when Ramsey left the club to basically say, Villa fans, don't you dare give him any grief for this move. Like, it's out of his hands type thing. You don't know what's gone on behind the scenes type thing, which maybe again alludes to that sort of falling out with disconnect between the players, where you've got an academy prospect who the players absolutely love, and you've got the sporting director saying, look, we need to sell, we need to balance the books here. And there's that kind of not quite alignment there. But in terms of the actual players, never hear any of them say a bad word about Emery. They all seem to only say positive things.
Do you put any of the blame on these results on Emery?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to an extent, but I would put more blame on the players that they haven't looked quite at it. We know how good Rodgers can be, and for whatever reason, he hasn't been great so far this season. Ollie's finishing hasn't quite been there. You can go through almost the whole team, certainly in attacking options, and say they should do more. Gesam, we were really excited about when he came in during the summer. He hasn't really shown anything yet.
We'd have projected you to be closer to second than 19th from those first 5 games, mate.
Yeah, I mean, from an FPL point of view, we were all looking at it going, we've got to go in on Villa. That fixture run's incredible at the start of the season. And now I'm sat here and I'm thinking, well, actually, Fulham at home, it's not a great fixture. Fulham are a really good side. They're in good form, and we look miles off it.
Interesting. Lewis, got any just general feelings on Villa as a neutral?
Not really. They'll definitely win this weekend. Our record there, speaks for itself.
Usual
So
positivity from the correspondents on Planet FPL.
I mean, last season I was so positive about Fulham every time I was on here, and we'd fail to win in the 5 games that I was on here for. So I'm going to be negative today, and hopefully it's a reverse psychology. In terms of Villa, I think it's just a confidence thing. If you get a couple of goals, and I think these are professional footballers, and they just need you know a little bit of confidence. I think a lot of players are confidence-based players. Um, so yeah, you'll get a couple of goals this weekend. Everything will be fine.
But it started immediately, didn't it, Lee? Like it was like an hour before you had a shot against Newcastle in game one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first time we'd gone a first half at Villa Park not having a shot for something like 15 years or something. Like, that's just unheard of at Villa Park.
You pointed out, Lewis, you have got a pretty shit record at Villa Park. Mind you, many do, but you've lost the last 6 there. So I take it you're not too hopeful of adding to the pain this weekend then.
No, not really. No, I mean the run's bad, but every sort of fixture is different. We are definitely in better form than Villa right now, but uh, yeah, I think there's other occasions where we've probably been in better form than Villa, and we're still lost. So I'm not as hopeful as I would be for a lot of other fixtures this weekend.
Are you a bit concerned that you're becoming a Fulham curse? Is that what this is?
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm
So
changing the tactic.
Lewis had 5 appearances on Clash of the Correspondents last year, and they were all home games. He didn't win any of them. And they weren't the worst set of fixtures. Includes drawing with West Ham, getting beat by Everton, getting beat by Palace, drew with Lee's team. I think the positive was probably you drew with Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're sitting there going, I'm normally positive. We always don't win when I come on the podcast. That's playing on your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's an away fixture, so maybe that's enough to sort of get the winning up
If
and running.
if you win at the weekend, you'd be banging on my door. Another away
Yeah,
game, please,
only
James. Don't
away
you?
games.
What have you in seriousness? What have you made of your start? Oh, it still feels like a
Good
decent
start.
return. 8 points from the 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, first three, Brighton away, we weren't very good that game. I think there was a lot of disruption with the Muniz. Was he staying? Was he going? He didn't start that game, but he started all of pre-season. So I think we weren't very good that day. But I don't think Brighton were particularly very good that day. So I thought a draw was probably a fair result, but we didn't really deserve to score. Then the Man United home game. Again, we weren't amazing. Their goal should have been given as a foul. Again, probably a draw is a fair result. And then the Chelsea game is a well documented game. We don't really need to go into this game. You
But the
know how I
unluck you
feel
had
about
there,
them.
you arguably then did have against Leeds, right?
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. I mean the Leeds game, we couldn't break them down. We definitely didn't deserve to win that game. We got a bit of luck. And then the Brentford game, Brentford came and played Brexit ball yet again at the Cottage, and for 2 seasons in a row it didn't work. This one was even worse than the last season. I remember last season after the game, you did a review on it, and you were really surprised at how Brentford set up that day.
They were so negative. I remember discussing it with
Mm.
Tom. It was like because they were really offensive at the start of
Yeah,
last season. The performance at Fulham was an outlier. Actually, no, I think the performance there last year was worse. But that said, they were winning the game for nearly the whole game last year, which did
yeah,
play a narrative into that game. You played well from the equaliser Saturday. From
yeah.
that point,
I
you were the
don't
better
think we
side by
particularly
distance.
played bad before the goal, and then I mean that was the first goal we've conceded from open play this season, and it was our mistake. And I mean we conceded a penalty in the first 3 games of the season, which I think if we'd conceded a penalty against Leeds would have set the record for most Premier League games in a row conceding a penalty because we conceded a penalty in the last 2 games of last season as well. So we were on a 5 game
Wow.
penalty conceded record at the time, which not an amazing record to hold. So
No.
yeah, I mean, and then we conceded 2 set pieces, one against Chelsea, one against Man United. So that was the first open play goal that we've conceded this season, and we didn't get split open.
No, it came from an error.
It was just a mistake. So, you know, we've been good defensively. The numbers in terms of goals conceded might not look like that, but if you actually break down the games, we've looked really good.
So just trying to think, it's corner goal against United, corner goal against Chelsea, penalty Brighton,
Penalty
penalty
Chelsea.
Chelsea, and then obviously Damsgaard's goal at
Yeah,
the weekend. So they've only conceded once from open play, Lee. But I
Surely.
suppose your one goal was scored from open play.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing when you talk about Villa not scoring is the goal we have scored was pretty fortunate.
Yeah, well, it was saved, but wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And the one in the cup, Harvey Elliott scored in the Carabao Cup, and that was fumbled by the goalie as well. So
What do you have to do in these next 2 games? Ultimately, it's 2 games at Villa Park, Fulham at home, Burnley at home. You've obviously got the return to the Europa League against Bologna on Thursday night as well. What have you got to do? I mean, is it where do we sit if we're after the Burnley game and you've not won any of these 3 home games and you haven't
very,
won at Feyenoord next week as well? Like, what at what point do we go? Hang on. This is more than just a bad 5 game spell. I saw someone highlighting a week you had a similar spell last year actually,
yeah, that
which
was
kind of because you've
James
done really
Kane.
well before and really well afterwards. Whereas this is all we know for you at the moment this
Yeah,
season.
yeah. I read the same comment. That was James K. Shout him out on the Slack channel, one of our Villa patrons. Yeah, we had a really poor run last season. Not quite as bad as this, but almost as bad. But because, like you say, it was in the middle of the season, you think, well, it kind of the form will pick up. Whereas you're looking at it now, and we're sitting 19th in the table, that feels worse.
And now you come into the Thursday Sunday bollocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like take advantage of that bit at the start, and now it's a headache.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, if we're going into the tough run of fixtures and we haven't beaten Fulham and we haven't beaten Burnley, that is different. Then alarm bells do start ringing. I think we've got to be winning at least one of these next 2 to at least calm people down a bit to say, look, we can win a football match here.
Afterwards, it's Tottenham, Manchester City, Liverpool, Bournemouth.
Yeah, yeah, we don't want to be going into that run with no wins on board, do we? That's a nightmare.
No, and then there's a couple of better ones, Leeds, Wolves, and then it gets tougher again, Brighton, Arsenal.
Yeah,
So I guess my question I'm asking is, what if we are sitting here in 2 weeks' time in the international break and you haven't won a football match? And what if you're still not scoring as well?
yeah. That becomes alarm bells then. If we don't win one of the next 2, um, there's a very small group of Villa fans at the moment that are growing unhappy with Emery. Very small, but that will grow quickly if we don't win the next 2 Premier League games.
That said, I've kind of already seen people writing off your season, and I don't quite feel that way. I mean, there's less room for error, but the idea that fifth will probably be Champions League, the idea that that's already completely beyond you is definitely not correct, mate. We've seen you perform very well in some of those tougher games that we just mentioned
Yeah,
in terms of the last few years. You're very capable of winning games such as Tottenham away and Manchester City at home. We've seen that over the last couple of years.
yeah, this is it. I mean, since Emery's come in, we've had, like you say, some amazing results against the tougher fixtures. Last season, we finished sixth, but we dropped points against Ipswich, we dropped points against Wolves and West Ham. So it does often go that way, especially at Villa Park. If the atmosphere is big, any team can come to Villa Park, and if the fans are up for it, you can get turned over.
What does a
Um,
good season look like now?
any sort of Europe, I think's a good season now. If we finish seventh and get in the Conference League, I think that's good from where we are right now.
That Europa League is very winnable, mate. I can tell you. But there is a chance here that your eggs end up going in that quite early.
Yeah, I think that is a fair point. Yeah, if we get round to January and we're 12th, then the focus shifts, doesn't it? To, okay, we've got a chance here to get into the Champions League if we can win that competition.
Well, if you're sitting 12th in January, it's the only way you'd be getting in. So,
yeah, exactly.
What's your expectations, Lewis? What can be achieved here?
Um, I
Like, is
think
it unrealistic to think that you could finish above Villa? I suppose it's not at the moment.
no. I don't think it is at all. European football. I think a good season for Fulham is top half and a good cup run. That's what we sort of aim for. I think Silva's aim is always to just beat last season's record points tally, which was obviously set last year. So beating that and having a good cup run is probably a good season.
There are a few injury concerns following the Cambridge game, though.
Yeah. So Muniz came on for Jimenez and just the full time whistle went and he just sort of went at the floor and the physio went over. Like Silva didn't mention it after the game, or maybe he just didn't know, so didn't mention it. So it's probably worth keeping an eye on. And Kevin went down with a shoulder injury. He was in a lot of pain and he sort of carried on for 10 minutes, looked absolutely fine. And then afterwards, Silva said there was some confusion with the translation because he said that the injury was located in his shoulder, and that got misinterpreted as he dislocated his shoulder, which he didn't do. And like I say, he carried on, so he'd probably be sore, but I imagine he'd be fine. But he won't start this week anyway, so um, that's not a concern.
Do you visualize him becoming first choice?
I mean, he'll have to eventually because Iwobi's at AFCON. So, I mean, he will eventually be the starting left winger just by default. Whether he, makes his way into the starting 11 before that, I'm not sure. Because I think I would like to see Iwobi in easier games play as an eight. Because I don't think that Lukic and Berg particularly offer enough going forward. Um, and I'd like to have Kevin in that team. But the thing is with Iwobi, he's so key to Silva's tactics, and he knows Silva's tactics so well that I don't think Silva wants to drop him because I think he thinks he loses too much from it. So I think it's just finding a way of getting them both in the team, and I think the easiest way to do that is by putting Iwobi centrally because Iwobi's best characteristic isn't necessarily beating the man on the outside; it's carrying the ball. And I think doing that from central areas won't. It's not something that he can't do.
He's got phenomenal stamina as well. I guess it just makes you a little bit more susceptible on turnovers. Makes you a bit more open. Like we've already
Yeah,
credited
I mean, I
your
think
ability not to concede goals from open play.
yeah, I mean it does, but I think last season we really struggled to break down, low blocks and just men behind the ball. And I think he's brought in two wingers this summer who have the same similar characteristics in that they'll go past the man, whereas last season it was like Iwobi and Wilson were very, we'll play in front of you. No, neither one of them really want to go down the wing. And I mean, we have Adama, but Adama is Adama, and he is such a frustrating footballer that you can't ask him to break down a low block because he just hasn't got the quality consistently enough. So I think we've definitely targeted a profile of winger to help, you know, like the promoted teams last season, we really struggled against them. I think it was only It was only Leicester that we beat home and away. And then we drew at home 0-0 to Southampton on my birthday, which was a terrible game. And we only beat Southampton away very late on towards the end of the season. Um, so yeah, I think we just needed something different in the wide areas to change a game, essentially.
Okay. And it's obviously not just Kevin, obviously Chukwueze, who you said has come in,
Yeah.
can obviously impact that as well. Okay, Lee. The Villa start obviously made many of us go for Villa assets in FPL. Which ones did you go for?
Watkins and Rodgers.
You so missed the opportunity there to go Marco Bizot.
That meme's been done to death, hasn't it now?
So you just went for Watkins, that was it?
No, Watkins and Rodgers.
Watkins and Rodgers, sorry. Are they still there?
Well, I'm on Wildcard this week.
Okay, so what does that mean?
That was heavily influenced by what I've seen in the last few weeks. Neither will be on my Wildcard team.
Even those two home fixtures coming up?
Yeah, I just think... Watkins isn't a cheap forward in the game. Watkins is the one that I would be tempted to keep if I was going to keep one of the two. Rodgers just looks miles off it. I don't think I've seen enough to want to keep him. Watkins, yeah, maybe, but not when he's 9 million or whatever he is now, 8.8 or something. It's just too much. I think if, like I said to you at the start of the podcast, if the underlying data was good and you feel like, well, Villa are creating a lot, they've just been a bit unlucky, then maybe there would be a logic to say, okay, keep the faith. But yeah, every measure you look at, chances created were 16th, XG were 19th. These are long-term trends now over 5 games where you just say, yeah, we might score against Fulham, we might score against Burnley, but I've got no faith in believing that it's necessarily going to be Watkins or Rodgers involved. So, yeah, for me personally, it's time to...
Was that the worst result of the lot on Sunday? Even worse than kind of losing to Brentford and Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I think it was. But just because... And that's no disrespect to Sunderland. Sunderland are, like you said earlier on, far better than some of the promoted teams we've seen in the last few years. But to be playing against 10 men for 70 minutes of that game is a long time. So to not go on and win that was incredibly disappointing.
There's two sides to that. There's one, in that position, you've got to win. But obviously, stuff can happen that means that you don't. But we couldn't look at it afterwards and go, Villa have done enough to warrant it. I mean, at 0-0, it looks as likely that they would take the lead as you.
Yeah, they're fully deserving at that point.
Okay, what would you say? If you'd not wildcarded, what do you think you would have done?
I would have been going Watkins up to Haaland and Salah down to someone. I think I could
Rodgers.
do Salah Palmer. Yeah, no, I would have kept Rodgers just because I think for my team the priority was getting Haaland in this week. If I already had Haaland, I would be looking at those Villa assets and thinking, where can I go? Yeah, Watkins down to João Pedro if you haven't already got him, or moving sideways to Gyökeres makes sense. Rodgers down to someone cheaper potentially, and Dies getting a lot of attention, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it speaks for it. I obviously sold Watkins as part of my move for Haaland. And you know me, I'm a fixture man. I mean, it speaks volumes that I sold him when you still look at that Burnley fixture in 7 particularly. Not so much the Fulham one. If it had been the other way around, I don't know if I'd done it. That's the only thing I'd add into that. Because I'd say this all the time about your team, Lewis. Never comfortable thinking about the idea of players playing against you. You and Palace just doesn't feel comfortable having assets against you too.
I'd totally agree with that. If it was Burnley this week, I might have said, you know what, kick the wild card back a week. I'll give them one more shot. But
that said, I don't think I'd have been comfortable captaining him because my plan always, Lee, at the start of the season would have been Watkins captain in 5 at Sunderland, and then him or Bruno probably in 7. But in the build up to the game on Sunday, no confidence in it. I mean, ultimately, Semenyo's done great, but I've captained a player against Newcastle rather than backing your player. It speaks a lot, doesn't it?
It does, but it also, I think, probably weighed in your mind is Villa away from home is different to Villa at home. If Watkins had been at home to Sunderland, I think you might have felt different. We do tend to do better at Villa Park, don't we?
Have you got to take 6 points from these 2 home games? Like it's 4 points. If I said, you can have 4 points, you happy with that?
I'm not happy with that, but I think that does enough to calm people down a bit. I don't think 4's a disaster, but yeah.
It's probably subject to results though, isn't it? Like if you nick a 1-0 against Fulham and then fail to beat Burnley, it's like that's you going into the international break then on the low again, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. So Watkins for you is a bin.
Yeah,
What would you say to people want to go like Watkins to Gyökeres?
yeah, get it done.
Rogers, if people were just got Rogers, talking about maybe going to like Simmons, Reinders, these sort of things, Grealish and
Uh,
Dyer,
Reinders and Die, yeah, I like them.
pretty much just like anybody else. So generally speaking, unless we're into sort of like hit territory, you're saying sell.
Yeah, yeah.
What about the defensive guys?
Um, that's probably the only positive you can take from our start to the season, actually. But I mean, a lot of that depends on game state. We have looked solid at the back. We've looked more solid with Mings in there than we did for long parts of the last season with Torres in. Mings has hit DEFCON in 2 of the games,
Last two.
but he's the only player that's hit DEFCON. Even the likes of Kamara that you would have expected to hit DEFCON hasn't. Um, I think the whole landscape of the FPL game has changed this season with DEFCONs, and it's just made Villa's defence even less appealing than it would have been 12 months ago. Um, if you're on one of them, I don't think it's a disaster. You've got 2 home fixtures coming up. Could we keep a clean sheet against Fulham? Yeah, maybe. Could we keep a clean sheet against Burnley? Yeah, maybe. But I wouldn't be buying. I won't have any Villa defence or goalkeeper on my wildcard. That is a fact.
So on wildcard, you're going no Villa,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
Okay. Lewis, have you got any Villa
Just Watkins. Um, I
plans?
brought in I brought in Haaland and Foden this week for Gakpo and Ekitike. This was pre Ekitike getting sent off last night.
Hey.
Um,
Pre-recording
so
on Wednesday, guys, before anyone thinks him out.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I just can't I refuse to get rid of a player that's playing Fulham. Like it's that's asking for trouble. So I'll reassess after the Burnley game, but yeah, if there was no way. I mean, I've wildcarded already, and I had to keep him in because I just knew what was going to happen.
So are you like diving into like Evan Nilsson next week then, or
Well, not next week because I've got Burnley, but over the international break, I'll definitely.
no? I mean, Bournemouth are playing you. So are you gonna?
Oh,
Are you, I know what you're saying,
no,
but
no,
yeah,
no. I've had Watkins from the start, and I couldn't just bin him off just before he played Fulham, is what I meant.
you have got a tough run coming up yourselves. I mean, I
Yeah,
certainly would look at Villa, and the historical does say it's still a very tough fixture. Then Bournemouth away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle
Newcastle.
away. You tipped up a few Fulham assets to us on Correspondent Week. Did you start with any of them?
I didn't start with any of them just because I was on chip strategy to start with. So even though I thought King would start the season, it just didn't make any sense to bench boost with him, for example.
You gave it the big one to the whole community about Josh King, and then didn't start with him.
I got him now though when I wildcarded.
So
But
he's in.
I wasn't exactly wrong. I mean, obviously the Chelsea game, he's unlucky. It is what it is. He should have scored yesterday. Shot got cleared off the line when he came on the pitch, and he's looked good. I think the best thing I've seen from him is the fact he made the massive mistake at the weekend in the Derby game, local lad, and he didn't let it bother him. He carried
Great.
on. He didn't shy away from the ball. And for a young lad, and that. I know a derby game's different for a fan or a player, but he is a fan and a player, and you could tell that it really affected him. But it affected him until the kickoff happened, and he was back on it. So for an 18-year-old, that's really impressive.
I don't think we're playing for Real Madrid next year, mate. But otherwise, yeah, you
I
were
said in a
right
couple of years,
because I
to be fair.
think um, you were obviously very high on him. I think if you'd said to those who went there, this is the minutes that he's going to get, probably would have all just gone now.
Mm.
Actually, so although there hasn't been attacking returns, you correctly say, obviously he's really unlucky with a goal at Chelsea. Does he stay in? And I guess maybe this possible injury to Kevin maybe helps that as a consequence, right? That Iwobi might stay wider.
Yeah, I think he would have stayed in anyway. I think I don't think he's shown. I don't think he's shown anything bad to come out of the team. And obviously Smith Rowe played last night. And I can't see Smith Rowe playing last night. I mean, he played. I mean, he's still not completed a full 90 for Fulham. Smith Rowe. I think he played 81 minutes or something. And then King came on, so I would expect him to start this week. Um, I don't think I don't think Smith Rowe's played badly when he's came on, but I also think that Silva really trusts King and to take him out of the team. There will be a time where he comes out of the team. You can't expect him to play 38 games of the season. But for now, I don't see why he would come out of the team.
So your visualization is that he will stay first choice moving
Yeah,
forward as a
yeah,
regular.
yeah.
Okay. I presume that's what you want as well, just for clarity.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean, Smith Rowe's not played bad when he's came on, but I think, um, King has, he deserves to start. He was really good pre-season. He started this, although he hasn't got the attacking turns, but he's playing well. So, let him play. You know what I mean?
Okay. You didn't get Harry Wilson then, no?
No.
You wish you had.
Well, I tipped Harry Wilson at the start of the season because he had a really good pre-season. But I think now if I was going to go a Fulham midfielder, like a winger that wasn't King, it would be a Iwobi because I think if Iwobi changes position, like Kevin comes in, I think Iwobi will play somewhere in the team. Um, but yeah, I mean, like you say, the next four are difficult. I think we took 4 points from these four fixtures last season. I think it was a draw at home to Arsenal. We beat Newcastle away, lost the other two. Um, I'd probably take that now if you offered it.
So I take it for the attacking Fulham assets, your advice, generally speaking, would be move on. King being a bit different because of his price, but
Yeah, I mean, it would.
if you're
Yeah,
sitting there on Wilson, Iwobi, Muniz, any of that, is it a case of move it on at this stage?
yeah. I mean, if if you can't move it on, I wouldn't maybe move it on for a hit unless it was to
Yeah,
upgrade
Lee's
something.
also thinking he's going, don't fucking sell it this week, you idiots.
Yeah, I mean, I would move on if it was to upgrade, if it was part of like a, downgrade into King, for example, to upgrade somewhere else, then that's fine. But we play well in these games, it's ironically the games against the promoted teams, for example, that we tend to struggle. These games where the onus isn't on us is games that we tactically get it right more often than not.
You got Joachim Andersen.
No, I wish I did, because
Okay, that's interesting. Lee,
yeah.
you're on Wildcard. Is he going in?
Yeah, I've had Anderson since the start, and yeah, he's probably going to stay on Wildcard. He's a gem.
How often do you think you play for you, Lee?
Um, I haven't really mapped it
Uh,
out with
uh, uh,
who else to
Villa
go.
away, Bournemouth away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away. Then there's Wolves at home, Everton away, Sunderland at home. So that's decent free.
Mm.
Then it's Tottenham away, City at home, Palace at home.
But with the Defcons, I'd feel comfortable playing him in most fixtures.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Is he going to get them every week though, Lewis? I realise he's on four in a row at the moment, but it's not like we're looking at the data last year and going, "Oh, blimey, Joachim Andersen got DEFCON in 38 games last year."
Yeah, but I think maybe the fact that Sessegnon is playing left back, and Sessegnon's played really well this season, and it's probably a blessing because Robinson, although he played 90 last night, he's not anywhere near Robinson of last season, and but now there's no pressure to rush him back because Sessegnon's playing really well. But Sessegnon isn't as good defensively, and maybe we're just conceding more crosses from that side and he's getting more clearances that way. I'm not sure on that, but like the next four, it wouldn't surprise us if he hit it in all four of them.
Do you expect any clean sheets in any of them though?
Yeah, I think we'll get at least one. I think, like I say, we've only conceded one goal from open play. It was a massive mistake. Two penalties and two, set pieces. And, actually last night and the Brentford game were both. I mean, the thing is, Cambridge did what Brentford tried to do better than what Brentford did. They came and they sat in deep, they played for long throws, set pieces, whatever. And in both games, we've defended them better. And Silva said before the Brentford game, obviously we'd conceded two set pieces to that point. He made a real emphasis that we'd been working on them. In the last two games, we've played really well against it. So, um, yeah, I think there'll be at least one clean sheet in there.
All right.
We're
Your
we're a hard
intention?
team to break
Go
down.
on, Lewis. Sorry,
I was saying we're a hard team to break down, and like I say, the tougher
you
games
are.
are.
Yeah.
So,
To be honest, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here in terms of the fixtures. As I already said, yourselves and Palace, it's like just
mm,
don't ever look at a player playing either of
well
you two in my
coached.
FPL team and particularly rate it at all.
They're just both got well coached teams from
Mm.
great managers, I think. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair.
If you
Go
do
on,
get
Lee.
a clean sheet as well, Anderson's got every chance of hitting double digits, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he
You give
already
Of
a clean
has
course,
sheet
one.
away at
of
Villa or
course.
away at Bournemouth, he's going to mop up those DEFCONs as well, hasn't
Of
he?
course. I'm just thinking about things like, and listen, there's rotations that work. Like I was just looking at kind of Senesi has been obviously kind of similar price, doing
Mm.
similarly well. You're looking at the fixtures. I'm just looking at the next four. I'm thinking if you've got a choice of either in the next four, I think you pick Senesi over Anderson
Yeah,
every time. But then in fairness, when Bournemouth go to Manchester City in 10, Anderson has Wolves at home. So like if you are looking further on
We
like
got
this, it
smashed
does
in last
work
season.
when Fulham play in game week 12, have Sunderland at home, Tarkovsky goes to Manchester United. You might like it, you might not like it, depending on how it is at the time. There are rotations there it can be, but it still feels like that. I don't think I'd want to look at him in my team every week. He might be looking great for DEFCONs, but I would ultimately think he's going to finish most of those games in the bracket of sort of 3 points
yeah,
over the next 4 weeks or so, and I wouldn't be comfortable looking at him as a starter every week. Therefore, are you better off just going as a 4.0? That's for other
Yeah.
people to decide. He's
mm.
100% lock in the team. He's always going to play. Yes, he will be good for DEFCONs. I think we knew that in pre-season. So if you were on wildcard now, Lewis, I think you'd go Anderson.
Yeah, I think I understand like obviously a lot of people are fixture heads and whatever, but I think with the addition of DEFCONs this season, I think looking at a defender from, like you say, Fulham's, Palace's, even like Everton's, like I don't think the fixture should really matter because I think the potential is way higher now than what it's ever been to haul for a defender like that. Like look at Anderson, I mean, he got a 10-pointer early on in the season. Um,
Absolutely. Of course, that's the
but
flip of it now that it could be if Fulham win at Villa 1-0, I mean, if he scores, there's every chance it's a 17 pointer. But then that was also the case last year, and it just would have been 15 rather than 17.
yeah, and
That's
I
the
think
only
the other
thing that's
thing
changed.
I think the other thing on Anderson in particular is last season he didn't have preseason with us. He had obviously preseason with Palace. And he started the season really bad. Like the first half of the season he wasn't very good. And he improved in the second half of the season. And Silver even said that a couple of weeks ago because he got asked about it. And Anderson has started the season really well. Him and Bassi are a really good partnership. Um, so I think that's helped his DEFCONs because I just think he's more match sharp. He knows the system now. He's the leader of the back. He's not having to play catch up on tactics and whatever, which, like the first half of the season last season I was a bit worried.
He's averaging just over 11 a game. Yeah, it's running very good for him. The one he missed, he got 8 at Brighton opening day, and the weekend 15 against Brentford was his highest as well. So it's trending upwards, if anything, as well. Yeah, no, perfectly reasonable pick on wildcard. Lee, have you all forgiven Emmy Martinez or not?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But it
Or is
was
it like
clear.
needs must we have to at the moment
No,
because we need
yeah,
him in goal?
there is a bit of that. Yeah, I think a lot of the Villa fans are still holding a bit of a grudge, though. I think
He can't be forgotten now, I don't think.
no, no, he was probably on the verge of getting sort of legendary status at the club if he'd have kept going. Whereas that has tarnished his legacy a
Yeah.
bit. The fact that, to all intents and purposes, as far as we know, he was trying to push for that move, and on deadline day, he was sat waiting for a phone call, which never came.
Will the announcer against Fulham at the weekend announce the best goalkeeper in the world or the best number one in the world, number 23, Emmy Martinez? Is that going to happen or not?
Yeah, he always
All
gets
right,
announced
fine.
as the world's number one. Just because he hasn't retained his trophy, I think he'll still have that title amongst Villa fans.
Okay, couple of quick fires for you, Lee. If someone did want a Villa defender specifically just for the next two, maybe to hold for something else specific, which one would you say?
Concert.
Is that because it's the only one, him and Matty Cashfield, the only ones that are secure, basically?
Yeah, yeah. Mings will probably get more points if he plays, but any week Torres could come in. It's not
Same with
impossible.
Dean and Matson, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you expecting? I mean, again, look, you've obviously got a game Thursday night and Sunday, but do you think the intention is for Jadon Sancho to play left of Rodgers and Elliott right? Is that what we think the intention of maybe best looking Villa looks like?
Yeah, it's a hard one because we know Emery likes these players that can play in lots of different positions. I don't think Sancho is necessarily going to start every game. I think Elliott is more likely to start every game than Sancho is. Because when everyone's fit, it's certainly going to be Watkins, Rodgers. I would have Elliott ahead of Sancho. And then you've still got Kamara, McGinn, Tielemans that he likes playing every week. So I think there's certainly going to be weeks where he wants to play McGinn on one of the wings instead of Sancho.
Okay. Game week 7, hypothetical for you, Lee. You're a non-Haaland owner for whatever reason. You've decided to take the Mo Salah path. Your options for captaincy are Watkins against Burnley, Bruno Fernandes against Sunderland, or Salah at Chelsea.
Bruno versus Sunderland.
They're definitely going to get a dodgy pen against a promoted team. Inevitable.
Okay. I think that speaks volumes. There's no point here, I guess, in for fantasy having any conversation about any Fulham defender other than Anderson, is there, Lewis?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like I say, Robinson probably, well, he definitely won't get back in the starting 11 before the international break at the very earliest. The competition between Tete and Castagna is always going to be there, similar with Matson and Dean. Um, and then I just think that Anderson's going to get more points than Bassi. They're both secure, but I don't see the upside of Bassi compared to Anderson.
Obviously, we don't know if Muniz has picked up a problem or not at the time of recording, but I'm going to imagine there are a few people who went there specifically for 2 weeks
Yeah.
and looking to plan it on, move it on. What would you say if someone said to you, Lewis, I want to buy someone like Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Muniz this week? Bearing in mind, over the same period of your next four, I've got Bournemouth at home, Tottenham at home, Burnley away, West Ham at home.
I don't hate it. If that's where you want to go, then be my guest. I wouldn't be going to Calvert-Lewin because I think it's he's 2 minutes away from getting an injury.
Lee's
But
shaking his head, but you don't play them for quite a while, Lee. So you're all right at the moment. You're okay. You're safe.
but yeah, I mean, I think if you're a fixture head, then Calvert-Lewin's fixtures are better. If you're a team and looking at, I mean, the thing is, actually, I will say on Muniz, like he hasn't looked particularly good this season, but I also think that the three behind him have changed. Like, he's got Kevin that's coming into the team. He's got King here, who King is essentially a
King's
new
new,
signing.
yeah.
Yeah, and on the right he's had Wilson, but Chuck Wazy's there. So I think the front four is still growing and still molding. So I think there has been games where he hasn't had a lot of service, but I think that's not his fault necessarily. I think that's just maybe the tactics or maybe people just not gelling quite yet.
Okay,
But
let's sell it a different way then. Someone needs to find money to put Haaland in their team this week, and has identified Muniz as a really good long-term set and forget 5.5 forward.
yeah,
What would you say to that?
no, I don't mind that at all. I mean, I don't think he comes out the team. I think last season it was different because I think Jimenez was in poor form and Muniz wasn't really. But I think this season he's sort of like, you know, Muniz, this is the season that he's been brought in to, he's the man now. Um, so I think Muniz keeps his spot, especially like I say, with the things changing behind him, because you've got to give him a little bit of leeway. Like you can't expect him to do really well when the three behind him are changing. So I don't see why he comes out of the team. So as a set and forget, he's not going to score every week, but it's you could definitely do a lot worse.
All right, fair enough. Thank you both, gents. Let's do correct score predictions before we finish late.
Oh God.
So I'll tell you what, I'll ask you a different one then. Bologna at home first,
Uh, Bologna at home. Mm, 2-0 Villa.
and Sunday,
I'm going to say 1-1.
and Burnley at home the following week.
2-0 Villa.
I got my value worth there, didn't I? This Sunday, Villa away prediction.
3-0 Villa.
Ah, come on, stop it, stop it, stop it.
No, 3-0. I'm going
Right, I see what you're doing here. Okay. I see what you're doing here. You know what I'm going to do, don't you? When you're playing, if you win, when you're playing Arsenal, oh shit, it's too soon. It's too soon. I wish you luck for that particular fixture. Gents, thank you both so much. Lee, anything you want to plug before we finish, mate?
No, just check out the Planet FPL Patreon if you haven't already.
Good man. Brown envelope on its way. Lewis?
No, just what Lee said.
Okay, another brown envelope for you as well. Next week's Clash of Correspondents, I can tell you guys, is Everton versus Crystal Palace with Sean Norton and Rory McLaughlin-Dowd. David will be back with me for the weekend over a discussion of the fallout of the cup fixtures this week and a look ahead to game week 6. And yes, we will look at some wildcard drafts and maybe some free hit drafts. And maybe we'll know if Haaland's fit. Lee, Lewis, very best of luck, gents. Cue music, please. Match up.